Hey guys, I'm back again with a very special treat. A lot of us are really happy now that Capcom and Marvel have finally got their problems solved over 10 years, and now they're able to bring Marvel vs. Capcom 3 to Xbox 360 and PS3. But a lot of you guys who might be younger gamers may not be aware of the game that started the whole thing, and it's X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Children of the Atom, which was a phenomenal game. As you can see, GamePro gave it 5 for graphics, sound, control, and fun factor. I just loved this game so much. Magneto in this game was probably one of the hardest bosses. I could never beat him on the Sega Saturn version because you had to beat him 2 out of 3, so I had to play the PC one. But I remember going to the arcade, I think it was Dream Machine in the Watertown Mall in Massachusetts. Every single day, dropping anywhere $2 to $5. Not every day, but when I had it, just playing this game. And I loved pretty much every single character in this game when I was playing it. And, I started off with, Iceman and Wolverine. Those are like my 2 favorite characters at the beginning of the game. But then I fell in love with pretty much every other single character in the game. And it's the only game where I pretty much love playing with any character. As much as I love Street Fighter, there's characters in Street Fighter that I love fighting against, but not necessarily playing as. But it's a phenomenal game. And just to give you a little background on this game, was when the game was originally announced for home console, which was, of course you can see right here, Sega Saturn system. This was Sega's 32-bit system. In case you younger gamers don't know, this was the alternative to PlayStation 1. Sega Saturn was really built on 2D graphics, and the 3D was kind of an afterthought, where PlayStation 1 focused more on 3D, and 2D was more of an afterthought on their side. And so when the game came out, Capcom was actually in filing for Chapter 11. Now, as you can see, the game, it does say, made by Capcom. But if you can look who it's distributed the game. Acclaim. And look where Acclaim is now. Acclaim is out of business. Capcom fixed all their financial problems, and now they're probably one of the top game developers on the planet right now. But what happened when the game was first announced, I think Capcom did this translation of their arcade game. It plays just like the arcade game, but it's missing about 50% of the animation, so it's not as fluent as the arcade, but it doesn't feel choppy. It just feels like it kind of. The best that I can probably say, if you have a camcorder that can film in 60 frames a second compared to 30, but this was maybe 30 frames and maybe it dropped down to 15, but it was animation, so you really wasn't that big of a deal, but you did notice it, but not really that big of a deal. But what happened was, it took like 4 years to bring this game out for the PlayStation 1, or 3 years or 4 years. I remember it was a really long time, because Acclaim had the rights to it to bring it to home console, and they wanted to bring it out, make some extra cash, and they just had so many problems for some reason with this game bringing it to PlayStation 1, because PlayStation 1 really wasn't known for having good 2D graphics. Some developers were able to do it fairly well. Other developers really did suffer with 2D translations. It was kind of like, if you remember, Sega Genesis was better at speed in games, where on shooters, Super NES had slowdown. And, there were a few programmers who did program on Super Nintendo who were really good and who didn't get slowdown. If you ever want to check out a game called Firepower 2000, which was a shooter on Super NES, didn't have any slowdown. But, you have to really make sure your coding is really, really good. You can't screw up in the coding. And the best version of this game was the PC version, which I own. I own all 3 versions of this game. The PC version actually did have all of the animation, but the problem was, I mean, when you bought the game, it did come with a 6-button controller, but the bottom buttons were the fist buttons, so, and the top buttons were the kick buttons, which was really weird for some reason. I thought about maybe opening up the controller and resoldering the wires, but let's see if I just open this up, show you guys the CD. As you can see, there's Magneto. Come to me and fight me. Yeah, Magneto, you're a scumbag. That's why you're going back in the box, scumbag. Yeah, I mean, the Sega CDs were, the Sega CD or the Saturns were kind of cool. They always had a piece of foam in there to protect the CD. I think there might have actually been, see if I can get this out. Sorry guys, trying to do this with one hand, of course. Now what I really liked about this, they actually put, drawings from the comic book. I mean, it's black and white, but, still it looks nice. Makes you feel like you're still in that Marvel universe. So let me put that back in there. And this video is probably going to be a few extra parts, but I want to show you the other one. Marvel Superheroes. Check that out. So all you guys who are getting excited for Marvel versus Capcom, kind of started over here, but it really did start over here because they did have Street Fighter versus X-Men, and then they came out with Marvel versus Marvel Superheroes, and then it became Marvel versus Street Fighter. There's actually Marvel versus Street Fighter. Then they upped it and made it Marvel versus Capcom. And just to let you know, I don't have the Marvel versus Capcom here. It was it was a Japanese import. But on the Sega Saturn, to do the tag team, you actually had to put kind of like a Sega Genesis cartridge in the back of the Sega Saturn, which was 4 megs of RAM. And what that allowed was to load up the 4 characters for tag team for you and then your, the opponent that you're fighting. So you were actually able to do the tag team. Now, when you played U.S. Japanese imports, you had to have a swap cartridge. It was like another cartridge, and then you had to boot it up. It was kind of weird, and you had to pull it out and stuff like that. But they made another cartridge which was automatic, so you didn't have to do the swap to play imports. But this is where it really came from, was this game. Everything really started from this game, but a lot of people think, Marvel versus this and that. It was actually a single player game first. But it started off with this one when they first got the Marvel license. But of course, it really did start off with this. This is Street Fighter Collection. This has the greatest collections of, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Alpha Gold. So I own this on Sega Saturn. Just look at that. It's an awesome box. You got Ryu, Chun-Li, DJ, Fei Long, Cammy, and this character. I can't remember his name. But, this was awesome. If you were a Street Fighter fan, Sega Saturn was the best. And of course, Night Warriors. Awesome game. Right here. And I'm going to try to finish this video up. Street Fighter Alpha. Street Fighter Alpha. Awesome game. Street Fighter Alpha 2. Akuma versus Ryu. You see Charlie right there. Zangief. So there's a lot of Capcom history here. So if you're a true Capcom fan and you want to get some of these games, look at picking up the Sega Saturn, and just to let you guys know, if you do want to pick up a few of these other games and you do have a PS3, they will run on the new PS3s also. So that's it, but the Sega Saturn ones are the better version, guys. Alright guys, take it easy. Later. Oh, let me just show you all of them. Alright guys, later. Bye.